Cyberbrainer is an online training platform designed to help individuals and teams learn the latest technologies and become certified professionals, producing a comprehensive learning experience.
Over here, only those folks will be able to run this. And again, here you see a long list of people who can run this. But in a real world, this particular create position web service is restricted only to some of the admin level groups, not to everybody. Only to certain admin level groups can run EIBs. Not everybody can run an EIB. Only very few cherry-picked people can run an EIB. Not everybody. Not every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to be able to run an EIB process. I will hit next. The next one, transformation type. I am not going to choose anything. It is going of these options which come from next onwards. I would rather go next item. That is nothing much that I want to create because all of these are preloaded over here, right? Usually the only thing while creating the EIB that we need to concentrate upon is one is your name, and another, the most important, is going to be your web service operation. Rest of them you can just have the default options which are going to be directly loaded. So only thing that you need to put over here is your web service operations, and then you can hit next. Next, and it should be fairly straightforward. We do not have anything over here. So this is all. Delivery method is one of your web service operations, and, since no other delivery mechanism is actually configured, let's go to the next and then create and submit review, and then submit everything to Strum. Alright, clear on this one. Now I have my first inbound EIB integration system created, which is called, as are in create position, inbound EIB. And one small tip for you. This is an integration system which is created, but still it's an EIB. But if I want to view this, I can directly go and pick this, or I can use INTSYS, that's the prefix. That is the prefix. INT is the prefix because this is an integration system. Integration system is just a process. It means a process, and if I say the prefix S, INTSYS, my EIB process is going to be coming. That is a prefix that I use for my EIB process. Clear on this? Any questions before we jump into the next? And again you can see the configuration. So whatever I have done over here, the create position web service, all that is available and other tribal method is what we file, at launch, attach file at launch, or if I want to drive it from my SFTP or something. You have to configure the SFTP, provide all the details, and then have it whitelist and all that. And securities, the same security groups, integration system, security groups which are going to be linked, is all available over here. That is number 2. Second. Now I've created my definition. Like I said, this is an Excel-based template, and how do I go to that? I go to this integration system, which is nothing but UEIB. Go to the related actions at the bottom. I see an option over here, which is called as template model. Click on generate spreadsheet template, and here, if I want to choose the option, I can either have it as an XML or an Excel's X. I choose an Excel's X, which is nothing but your Excel format. If you guys are familiar with XML, you can do with XML, also because XML is more for other languages, because if I'm going to get the same file from another third party or a Java-based application, I may go for an XML, because all your JSPs and everything, it's easy for me to generate it using an XML rather than Excel's X format. So if it's going to be Y and JSP or other things, I might use an XML, but since here I'm going to have an Excel formatting, I will go to give it as Excel's X, Then I'm going to see confirm, just a confirmation checkbox, and I click submit. Once I do it, if you see here, view background process, and I have several tabs over here similar to the process tabs that you saw, hit refresh. So this is going to give me the completion percentage of my creation, of my generation, of my spreadsheet template process. It's going to run, and once it is completed, it is going to provide my output files. So I just have to go to my output files and then click on Create Position, Excel's X, and this particular version. It shows your Create Position _ version 42.0, which is nothing but the version of this particular EIB. So this particular EIB or web service operation will have versions which are delivered by Workday from time to time, and the current version happens to be 42. So, which means that I like 41 versions prior and based on the latest changes. 42 is the latest version, so probably 6 months down the line, Workday may introduce a new version called as 43. So, from time to time, Workday releases new versions of this, so you just have to be mindful about it as well. Of course, when you load this template, you may get an error saying that you are using an obsolete version, so please use the latest version. That is always there as an option. Right now, what I do is I click on this particular file and it is going to download in my local desktop, and then I open it for sure. I open it over here. It is very, very simple. Right, it's a very fairly straightforward and a simple template. Let me explain how exactly this works. So the first one I have, like multiple business process or sub-business process, where this is all coming down to, is, very simply put, I say, create position. I go to this particular task and the supervisor organization just defaulting. Just ignore that for now. And if I see over here all of these options, your supervisor position, title, number of positions, availability date, everything is exactly what is available over here as well. Available here as well, and all that you need to do is only those which are marked as required are the mandatory fields. Rest of them are not mandatory fields. Only those which are marked as mandatory fields. You need to have them filled. Rest of them, ignore it if it is marked as optional. It is up to you to whether you want to provide a value to it or not. For example, your position ID just self-generated is an optional field. It is not mandatory for you to provide a value for the position ID. If you do not provide it, it's going to be automatically picking it up. But it's good to have if you want it. And again, your position title is a mandatory field here. I go over here. This is your job posting title, also your position title. This is going to be definitely something required, but it's mentioned over here as optional, so ignore it. So what I would rather do is I would go by this screen over here, and whichever fields are marked as mandatory, I would go and fill all these fields in all the 5 tabs that I have over here. Nothing but an Excel version of all these fields that you may have to fill it in a real world, in the UI, but only difference being all of this is an entire. All of this is for one row, whereas in an Excel, up to the Excel's limit of 1,000,000 rows, I can load how many ever rows of data that I want. I can load up to 1,000,000 positions in a single batch processing. In a single batch processing, I can run up to 1,000,000 rows, which is of course, the limit of my Excel. Clear on this so far? What exactly happens? It is exactly the same. Some of you who are from a peoples of background, whatever you did in an Excel to CI, this is exactly the same. The same. No difference of whatsoever between an Excel to CI in your peoples of versus an EIB in Workdays. Exactly the same. And the rest of the folks. So if I want to load bulk data, I will go ahead and use this. Or, for example, for some of the folks from my own practice.
Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.